license and registration.
Officer, before I reach for anything, can you tell me why you pulled me over?
Provide your license and registration. Your lane position was suspicious.
Suspicious is not articulable suspicion. It's a feeling, and feelings don't meet the constitutional threshold for a legal traffic stop.
Listen closely, because what I'm about to tell you is a story about power, knowledge, and one moment that changed everything. Picture this: a desert highway in Nevada, the sun hanging low like a burning orange coin against an endless sky. It's 6 p.m., that perfect hour when the heat finally breaks and the world feels like it's taking its first real breath all day. The road stretches out straight and empty, cutting through sand and scrub brush like a black ribbon laid across the earth. And on that road, there's a woman driving home. Her name is Maya Torres. She's 26 years old, and if you saw her car pass by, you wouldn't think twice. Just another sedan heading somewhere, staying in its lane, doing exactly what it's supposed to do. But Maya? She's not just anyone. Inside that car is someone who spent the last 3 years becoming dangerous in the best possible way. Dangerous because she knows things. Before we start, tell me where you're tuning in from. Hit like and subscribe to this channel. This is the place for stories that truly stick. Now let's begin. Maya is in her final year at the University of Nevada's law school. Not just attending, dominating. She has the highest grades in her entire class. She's published articles that professors cite in their own work. She's the kind of student who corrects the teacher, and the teacher thanks her for it. Her specialty? Constitutional law. The Fourth Amendment, to be specific. You know, that part of the Constitution that says the government can't just stop you, search you, or mess with you without a damn good reason. Maya has studied every case, every word, every comma of that amendment. She knows it the way a musician knows their favorite song. Not just the notes, but the feeling behind them. On this particular evening, Maya's driving home from the law library. She's just spent 6 hours preparing for final exams, her head full of case law and legal principles. The music's playing softly through her speakers. Windows down, cool air washing over her face. She's not speeding, not swerving, not even touching her phone. She's just driving. And then in her rearview mirror, she sees them. Red and blue lights flashing like angry fireflies against the golden sunset. Now, most people's hearts would race with fear. Panic. That instinctive flutter of, oh God, what did I do? But Maya's heart races with something else entirely. Suspicion. She runs through the last 10 miles in her head. No stop signs, no speed limit violations, no lane changes that weren't signaled. Nothing, absolutely nothing that would give an officer legal cause to pull her over. So why is this happening? She pulls to the shoulder, smooth and controlled, puts the car in park, turns off the engine, places both hands on the steering wheel where they can be seen. This isn't her first time. She knows the dance, but more importantly, she knows her rights, every single one. The officer walking toward her car is named Derek Chen. He's been on the force for 12 years, white, early 40s, standard build, clean uniform. On his chest, a body camera blinks its little red light, recording everything. Derek has made this walk hundreds of times. To him, this is Tuesday. Routine. Just another traffic stop. He has no idea what's about to happen. License and registration, Derek says when he reaches her window. His tone already has an edge to it, like a blade not quite drawn but resting on the hip. Maya doesn't move yet. She stays calm, hands visible, voice steady. Officer, before I reach for anything, can you tell me why you pulled me over? And right there, right in that moment, something shifts. Because most people don't ask that question. Most people just hand over their documents. They comply. They submit. They don't challenge. They certainly don't question authority before obeying it. Derek's not used to this. Ma'am, just provide your license and registration, he says, his voice a little harder now. I will, Maya replies, and her voice is like silk over steel. But I'm legally entitled to know the reason for this stop. What traffic violation did you observe? You can see it in Derek's face, the way his jaw tightens, the way his eyes narrow just slightly. He's starting to realize this isn't going to be routine at all. Your lane position was suspicious, he says. And Maya, God, you should see her face. She almost smiles. Almost, because she knows exactly what she's dealing with now. Suspicious lane position isn't a violation of Nevada traffic law, she says, her voice never wavering. Can you be more specific about what violation you observed? Derek's hand moves to his belt. It's subconscious, a gesture that says, I'm in charge here. But the thing is, he's not. Not anymore. Ma'am, I don't have to explain myself to you. License and registration. Now. Actually, officer, Maya says, and her voice is so calm it's almost eerie. Under Terry v. Ohio, you do need to articulate reasonable suspicion for this stop. Suspicious is not articulable suspicion. It's a feeling, and feelings don't meet the constitutional threshold for a legal traffic stop. Silence. Dead silence. Just the wind across the desert and the distant hum of traffic. Derek is standing there, and you can see it. That moment when an officer realizes they've stopped someone who knows the law better than they do. Ma'am, are you a lawyer? His tone has changed. The authority is cracking. Law student, final year, top of my class, constitutional law specialty. Maya pauses, lets that sink in. And this stop violates my Fourth Amendment rights. Derek takes a step back from the window. The body camera catches everything, his hand moving toward his radio, then dropping, the uncertainty in his posture. He's scrambling now, trying to regain control of a situation that's slipping through his fingers like sand. He pulls out a notepad, doesn't write anything, just holds it, like the physical object might give him back some authority. I pulled you over, he says, his story changing now, because your vehicle matched the description of a suspicious vehicle reported in the area. Maya's eyes narrow. She leans forward slightly. What description? What area? What report number? And why didn't you mention this when you first approached my window? Nothing. Derek stands there, notepad in hand, saying absolutely nothing. 7 full seconds tick by. 7 seconds of silence that feel like an eternity on that recording. 7 seconds where a 12-year veteran officer has no answer for a 26-year-old law student. You're being argumentative, he finally says, and you can hear the desperation in it. No, officer. I'm asking you to justify this stop with actual legal reasoning. That's not argumentative, that's constitutional. You made a stop. You need to articulate why. If you can't, then this stop is unlawful, and any evidence you gather from it would be inadmissible in court. Derek tries to take back control. Step out of the vehicle. On what grounds? I'm ordering you to step out of the vehicle. And I'm asking you on what legal grounds? Do you have reasonable suspicion that I'm armed? Do you have probable cause to believe I've committed a crime? Or are you escalating this stop because I'm exercising my rights? The body camera catches Derek's breathing. It's heavier now, faster. You can hear it in the audio. He's realizing something terrifying. This woman is right. He is wrong. And everything is being recorded. Maya keeps going, her voice still level, still professional, never once rising in anger or emotion. Officer, I'm going to explain something to you. When you initiated this stop, you started a Fourth Amendment seizure. That's not my opinion. That's constitutional law established in Delaware versus Prouse. For that seizure to be legal, you need reasonable suspicion of a traffic violation or criminal activity. You've changed your reason twice now. First, you said my lane position was suspicious. Then you said my vehicle matched a description. Neither of those explanations meets the legal threshold, and your inconsistency suggests you didn't have a legitimate reason at all. Derek's face, partially visible in the reflection on the car window, shows something raw and real. Fear. Because Maya is absolutely, undeniably correct, and they both know it. I think you're right, Derek says quietly. I know I'm right, Maya responds. You can go, Derek says, stepping back from the vehicle. But Maya doesn't start her car. She doesn't put her hands back on the steering wheel. Instead, she opens her door and steps out. Not because Derek ordered her to, but because she chooses to. Officer, we're not done here, she says, standing beside her car with the kind of confidence that comes from absolute certainty. Derek looks genuinely afraid now. Ma'am, I said you're free to go. Before I leave, I need your badge number and the name of your station. That's not necessary. It absolutely is necessary. You just violated my constitutional rights. You initiated an unlawful stop. You attempted to intimidate me into compliance. You changed your justification for the stop multiple times, which suggests racial profiling. And all of this is on your body camera. So I need your badge number, your full name, and your station. The desert is so quiet. The sun is almost completely set now, leaving the sky bruised purple and deep blue. The flashing lights paint everything in rhythmic red and blue, red and blue. Derek gives her the information. His voice is hollow when he speaks. Badge number 3D742, Derek Chen, Desert Ridge Police Department, North Division. Maya takes out her phone, types everything in with steady fingers. Thank you, officer. I'll be filing a formal complaint. I'll also be requesting all body camera and dash camera footage from this stop. And if the department tries to deny my request, I'll file a public records lawsuit. I know exactly how to do it. Derek says nothing. What can he say? He made a bad stop, got called out on it, and now he has to face what comes next. Maya gets back in her car and drives away. The entire encounter lasted 11 minutes. 11 minutes that would end a career. The next morning, Maya doesn't just file a simple complaint. She goes to the university law library and builds a case. She prepares a comprehensive legal document that reads like something a seasoned civil rights attorney would file. She cites case law. She references police procedure manuals. She quotes the Fourth Amendment and the 14th Amendment. She includes a timeline with exact timestamps, cross-referenced with the body camera footage she's formally requested through public records. Her complaint isn't just a complaint, it's a legal weapon. Thorough. Professional. Devastating. She submits it to the Desert Ridge Police Department's Internal Affairs Division. She also sends copies to the department's legal counsel, the city attorney's office, and the local ACLU chapter. She makes sure multiple entities know about this, so it can't be quietly buried. The police department receives Maya's complaint on a Thursday. By Friday afternoon, Derek Chen has been placed on administrative leave. This is not normal. These investigations usually take weeks just to begin. But Maya's complaint is so detailed, so legally sound, so impossible to ignore that the department has no choice. Internal Affairs assigns the case to Lieutenant Sarah Brennan, a senior investigator with 22 years on the force. Sarah has seen everything: minor policy violations, serious misconduct, everything in between. But when she reads Maya's complaint, she knows immediately. This is different. Sarah pulls the body camera footage, watches it once, watches it again, brings in the department's legal advisor to watch it with her. The footage confirms everything Maya wrote. Everything. Derek made a stop without reasonable suspicion. He changed his story multiple times. He tried to intimidate Maya into compliance. He ordered her out of the vehicle without legal grounds. And when confronted with facts, he backed down because he knew he was wrong. But there's something else in the footage that makes Sarah's blood run cold. At one point during the encounter, Derek's hand moves toward his service weapon. It's brief, barely noticeable. He doesn't draw it, doesn't even touch it. But the movement is there. The intent flickers across the screen like a shadow. And for what? Because a woman was correctly explaining constitutional law to him? 3 days later, Sarah interviews Derek. It goes badly. Why did you initiate the stop? Sarah asks. I thought her lane position was suspicious, Derek answers. Suspicious how? She was, I don't know, it just seemed off. Did she cross lane markers? No. Did she swerve? No. Did she drive erratically in any way? No. Then what made her lane position suspicious? Silence. And then Derek says the thing that ends his career. She looked out of place in that area. Sarah closes her notebook. What do you mean by out of place? I don't know. It was instinct. Instinct isn't reasonable suspicion, Derek. You know that. The interview lasts 45 minutes. By the end, Sarah has everything she needs. Derek made a pretextual stop based on racial profiling. He violated department policy, constitutional law, and the public trust. The investigation takes 2 weeks total. That's incredibly fast for police internal investigations. Most take months. But the evidence is so clear, Maya's complaint so thorough that there isn't much to investigate. Everything is documented. Everything is on camera. Everything is undeniable. The department's findings are released in a brief statement. Derek Chen violated multiple policies. He made a traffic stop without reasonable suspicion. He failed to articulate a legal basis for the stop. He demonstrated bias in his enforcement actions. The department recommends termination. But before that process can complete, Derek resigns. He doesn't fight. He doesn't appeal. He just leaves. 12 years of law enforcement ended by 11 minutes. Now, the department tries to keep the body camera footage private. They argue it's part of an ongoing investigation that releasing it would violate Derek's privacy. But Maya files a public records lawsuit in county court. She represents herself because, frankly, she doesn't need a lawyer. She is a lawyer for all practical purposes. The lawsuit argues that the footage is a public record and that citizens have a right to see how their police department operates. The judge agrees. 6 weeks after the incident, the footage is released. And when it hits the internet, it explodes. News outlets pick it up. Social media shares it millions of times. Legal analysts break it down frame by frame. Law professors use it in their classes as a teaching tool. Some people praise Maya for standing up for her rights. Others criticize her for being difficult. Some say she was lucky it didn't escalate. Others say it never should have happened at all. But here's what nobody can deny. Maya was right about everything. Every legal claim, every case reference, every constitutional argument. She didn't just know the law, she knew it better than the person sworn to enforce it. The Desert Ridge Police Department makes changes. They implement additional training on constitutional law. They revise their policies on traffic stops. They bring in legal experts to teach officers about the Fourth Amendment. Essentially, they make their officers take the kind of class Maya could have taught. Maya graduates from law school 2 months after the incident. First in her class. Multiple job offers from firms across the country. She chooses to work for a nonprofit legal organization that represents people wronged by law enforcement. She handles cases involving unlawful stops, false arrests, excessive force, police misconduct. She's good at it. Really good at it. In interviews, Maya says that traffic stop wasn't the first time she'd been racially profiled. It wasn't even the first time she'd been pulled over for no legitimate reason. But it was the first time she had the legal knowledge to fight back in the moment. And she used that knowledge not just to protect herself, but to create a teaching moment seen by millions. This story isn't just about one law student and one police officer. It's about knowledge being power. It's about understanding your rights and being willing to assert them, even when someone with authority tells you to be quiet. Most people don't know their constitutional rights in detail. They don't know what reasonable suspicion means or what the Fourth Amendment actually protects. And some police officers count on that ignorance. But when you encounter someone like Maya, someone who has spent years studying the law, who knows exactly what police can and cannot do, who can cite Supreme Court cases from memory, the power dynamic shifts. The badge doesn't automatically win. The uniform doesn't automatically command submission. Knowledge becomes the equalizer. This case also highlights a serious problem in law enforcement training. Derek had 12 years of experience. He'd gone through academy training, he'd made hundreds of traffic stops. And yet, when confronted by a law student, he couldn't articulate a basic legal justification for his actions. That's a training failure. That's a system failure. If Derek didn't know the constitutional standards after 12 years, how many other officers also don't know? How many people have been illegally stopped, searched, or arrested by officers who didn't understand the law they were supposed to enforce? The body camera itself became crucial to this story. Without it, this would have been a he said, she said situation. Derek could have written anything in his report. He could have claimed Maya was driving erratically, that she was uncooperative. But the camera doesn't lie. It captured Derek's changing explanations, his inability to articulate reasonable suspicion, the moment he realized he was wrong. Everything. After the footage went viral, several other people came forward with complaints about Derek. Turns out this wasn't an isolated incident. Other drivers, mostly Black and Latino, reported being stopped by Derek for questionable reasons. Their complaints had been filed but never resulted in serious consequences. But after Maya's case, those complaints were reviewed again. A pattern emerged. Derek had a history of pretextual stops, and the department had overlooked it. Let me address something that came up when this story went viral. Some people said Maya was difficult or combative with Derek, that she should have just complied and filed a complaint later. That arguing with a police officer is dangerous. Here's the thing. Maya wasn't combative. Watch the footage. Her voice never rises. She never insults Derek. She never threatens him. She simply states facts. She explains the law. She asks questions Derek can't answer. That's not being combative. That's being informed. As for the argument that she should have just complied to avoid danger, that's exactly the problem. That mindset assumes police officers have unlimited authority, and that citizens should submit even when officers are violating their rights. That's not how constitutional rights work. Rights you can only exercise when it's convenient aren't really rights at all. Yes, there's a reality that questioning police can be dangerous, especially for people of color. Maya knew that risk. She calculated it, and she decided that asserting her rights was worth it. Not everyone can make that choice, and that's understandable. But the fact that asserting your constitutional rights is considered dangerous tells you everything you need to know about the problem. So, what's the lesson from all of this? First, know your rights. You don't have to be a law student to understand the basics of the Fourth Amendment. But you should know that police need reasonable suspicion to stop you, probable cause to arrest you, and a warrant or exception to search your property. You should know you have the right to remain silent. You should know you can refuse consent to a search. Second, stay calm. Notice that Maya never yelled, never became emotional. She stayed calm and professional, which made her arguments even more powerful. Third, document everything. Maya asked for Derek's badge number and station. She made formal records requests. She created a paper trail. Fourth, follow through. Maya didn't just complain to friends. She filed a formal, detailed legal complaint. She requested records. She filed a lawsuit when necessary. She saw it through. Fifth, use your knowledge to help others. Maya became a civil rights attorney. She uses what happened to her to help people who don't have the legal knowledge to fight back. That's how individual incidents become systemic change. As of now, Derek Chen no longer works in law enforcement. He resigned and, according to public records, has not been hired by any other police agency. His law enforcement career is over. Maya Torres is now a practicing attorney with several successful cases under her belt. She's won settlements for clients who were victims of police misconduct. She's helped change policies in multiple police departments. She gives talks at universities and community centers about civil rights and police accountability. The Desert Ridge Police Department revised its training programs and policies. They implemented stricter oversight of traffic stops. They created an early warning system to identify officers with patterns of complaints. None of these changes would have happened if Maya had just handed over her license and registration without question. None of these changes would have happened if she had stayed quiet. None of these changes would have happened if she hadn't known her rights and been willing to assert them. One woman, one traffic stop, 11 minutes, and an entire department had to change. That's the power of knowledge. That's the importance of accountability. That's what happens when someone refuses to accept injustice, even in a moment when most people would just go along to get along. This story matters because it's not just about Maya and Derek. It's about every person who has been pulled over because of their skin color, instead of a traffic violation. It's about every officer who thinks the badge means they don't have to explain themselves. It's about every person who stays quiet because they're afraid to question authority. Maya's story shows that you can fight back within the system. You can know the law. You can assert your rights. You can hold people accountable, and sometimes you can win. Not every story ends this way. Not every illegal stop results in officer discipline. Not every complaint leads to change. But this one did, and that matters. The body camera footage from that March evening is still available. You can see a law student calmly explaining constitutional law to an officer who thought he knew better. You can see the moment he realizes he's wrong. You can see what accountability looks like. And maybe, just maybe, the next time someone gets pulled over for no legitimate reason, they'll remember Maya's story. They'll know that reasonable suspicion is required. They'll know that suspicious isn't good enough. They'll know that they have rights. And those rights don't disappear just because someone has a badge. That's Maya's legacy. Not just getting one officer removed or changing one department's policies, but showing millions of people that knowledge is power and rights are worth fighting for. This is the story of how a law student stood her ground on a desert highway and changed the conversation about justice in America. If this story touched you in any way, don't keep it to yourself. Like it, share it with someone who needs it, and subscribe for more stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.